You have the talent. Whether you have the killer instinct is the big question.
She thought she owned everyone.
It's foolish. Unhinged. Or you're fired. Why are you speaking?
I think you've nicked me. But there's something about poetic justice that's just so poetic.
You won't admit you love me, and so how
The overlight.
to know you always tell me.
Get her.
This doesn't have to be a scene.
It really, really does. I'd like to remind you all that I'm doing this in heels.
What was your name?
Cruella.
If you can't make your mind up, we'll never get started.
I want to make trouble. You in?
I do love trouble.
Being
You have a bit of an extreme side. Yes, darling. What fun that is.
She stole my dogs.
I guess you must hate her.
She has made it me or her. And I choose me.
This is Trinidad, the Island Man, your Island Man, coming to you live once again from beautiful Hawaii here on the island of Oahu, bringing you, yes you, the best movie reviews on the entire island of Oahu. And yes, this is Trinidad, the Island Man, your Island Man. And last night of opening weekend, Friday night, opening night other than Thursday, the pre-opening, I guess, I saw the new Disney movie, Cruella. And, well, remember our rating scale? Shaka Thumbs Up, it's good to see, I recommend it. Shaka Thumbs Down, it's junk, I don't recommend it. And for the Disney movie, the new movie called Cruella, which has opened at theaters everywhere, everywhere that theaters are open. And if you want to spend the additional $30 in addition to your Disney Prime membership, you can stream it at home. Within the next month or two, it should just become on regular Disney Plus streaming. So if you want to wait and just see it at the theater, you can do that as well. But I went ahead and I saw it at the theater, and it is a Shaka Thumbs Up. Let me just say that I was very, very surprised. I mean, from what I've seen from the trailer, almost a year ago, or at least a half a year ago, I knew that it would be an enjoyable film. But I was very, very surprised at just how enjoyable it truly was. Let me just say that in the end, Emma Stone should win an Oscar for her performance. And I think Emma Thompson, who is always a brilliant actress, she deserves a Best Supporting Actress as well. Now, what can I say about this movie? How can I just best describe this movie to you, having seen the trailer, but maybe not seen the movie yet? I would say that the best way to describe this movie is that if you take The Devil Wears Prada and Fight Club and mush them together, you have Cruella. Because Emma Stone perfectly channels both Anne Hathaway from Devil Wears Prada and Tyler Durkson, Brad Pitt's character from Fight Club, and is essentially both characters molded into one. So yes, it is a strong Shaka Thumbs Up. Even better of a movie, I would say, than A Quiet Place Part 2. And now I gotta say that I was surprised at just how dark Disney allowed these guys to go with this movie. There is murder. There is plots of murder. Talk of terrible violence to to Emma Thompson, who plays the bad guy, who meets an even worse bad guy, or gal, I guess, with Cruella, finally meeting her match, as we see that this is, as you've seen from the trailer, an origin story of Cruella Devil, whose actual name is Estella. Raised as a little girl and then orphaned when her mother dies, as we find out, spoilers, by the hands of, what she believes is Estella's own hands. Thus, she grows up feeling tremendously guilty for causing her mother's death. But even greater spoilers, it turns out that it is Emma Thompson who is ultimately responsible for Estella's or Cruella's mother's death. The woman who cared for her growing up, who loved her tremendously, fell by Emma Thompson's own doing. And with that, any hope or notion of Estella winning out persona-wise against her evil, more vindictive version of her personality, Cruella, goes well outside the window, and she goes on full terror and revenge against Emma Thompson in the most delicious way. Again, think Tyler Durkson from Fight Club going against the fashion mogul from that movie, which is in this case played by Emma Thompson, but doing so with fashion knowledge that Anne Hathaway style and grace that she had shown in The Devil Wears Prada. And you have how the fight goes on, which you catch glimpses of in the trailer. So yes, I can't say more about this movie than it is a strong Shaka thumbs up. The perfect movie to take, your older children to. Again, it might be considered a little dark for real youngsters, but still not terrifying for them. And it does build upon the mythos of what we've seen before in 101 Dalmatians. As you've seen in the trailer, there are Dalmatians. There are references to the famous Dalmatian coat in this film. It's not clear that 101 Dalmatians will actually take place after this movie. But they do set it up for some type of sequel. Cruella, of course, survives, as we know she would, to be in 101 Dalmatians, and it steers towards that path. Although there are some differences that she could, maybe shape it, as she definitely turns out to be much more of an anti-hero than villain from the 101 Dalmatians. But for much of this film, we do see that side of her that goes full dark side, to say that yes, she is a great terror, and it would not take much for her to will and eventually take out all who oppose her, as she definitely has the talent, knowledge, and ability to do so, as witnessed in both this film and 101 Dalmatians. So it's not a stretch to see her turn into that character later on. But again, this is early in her career, perhaps not as evil quite yet. However, we do see at the young age the loss of her mother being enough to drive her towards her darker impulses, which is delightfully fun to watch, as we see this person struggling to contain the evil within her, that darkness, and do what her mother had wished her to do and be a good kid. only to go out the window when finally she realizes it is Emma Thompson who should face the full wrath of her fury. And on to that, a tremendous 60s soundtrack set in London during the bohemian times of the 60s. And you have a wonderfully smart and poignant film reflecting much of the cultural attitudes of today as far as social changes, people fighting for their rights, etc. Very much, again, attuned to the 60s. And I gotta say that, again, this was a very poignant and surprising film, and I highly recommend it for anyone, for you, your children, to go ahead and see, and you will not be disappointed with Cruella from Disney. And after this, let me just tell you, I am no longer interested in Emma Stone being anywhere near the Spider-Verse, maybe as we had once thought, maybe Spider-Gwen. No. Disney, you keep her as Cruella, and you keep pumping out these wonderful movies with her. And I want to see much, much more in this franchise. On a side note, and kind of a reflective of the comic books, some people had said, Grace Randolph had mentioned that it's like, oh, she got a vibe of Harley Quinn from this movie. And I could say yes, but also much, much more. Margot Robbie cannot stand, in the light of Emma Stone in this. And after watching this movie, I think of Harley Quinn who, basically, because that's how powerful Emma Stone's performance as Cruella is in this. And not to say that she duplicates or tries to take on the persona of a Harley Quinn, it's just an anti-villain who is fully powerful and recognized in her own right, which is what Harley Quinn should have done in her movie, but failed drastically. Margot Robbie did not have a good script, and her acting failed because of that script, whereas Emma Stone channels everything she has into this character, Cruella, and does an amazing, amazing Oscar-worthy job. So it should be interesting to see if maybe she does get some nods for her performance, as it is incredibly, and like I said, deliciously deliciously delivered. I'm going to go ahead and see this again, probably multiple times, because it is that good. A strong, strong Shaka thumbs up. I highly recommend it. From the comic books, I would say that she is not, didn't strike me as so much as a Harley Quinn kind of a character, but in the DC universe, I don't know if she exists after the 52 and whatever has gone on in the DC universe. But before the new 52, there was a character that would come into play sometimes for the Teen Titans, sometimes as a villain against the Teen Titans, sometimes as an ally. But from an alternate Earth or reality, the daughter of Harvey Dent, Two-Face, her name was Dula. And it was later discovered that she was actually the daughter of the Joker from an alternate timeline, or Earth, alternate Earth, or universe. And that is how I felt with Cruella. She could very well play that DC character. Dula, Emma Stone, does such a wonderful shift between personalities, definitely showing, again, like Fight Club, two different sides of the same person with two different personalities. One nice, one fantastically cruel and evil, like Two-Face from Batman. And thus I thought of Dula. She would be a wonderful character if the DC Universe should ever wish to do any films with her, keep Emma Stone in mind, because all you'd have to do is watch Cruella and see, yes, that's our Dula character. That's a little bit of a deep cut. Not too many people will know who Dula is from the DC comics, but again, that's just how impressive Emma Stone was in this role. So yes, there are references to 101 Dalmatians, kind of future forward-looking glances at what is to come and what could be. But it also, just like Maleficent, kind of rewrites the story of 101 Dalmatians, so that if it continues on into the future from this point, it may not happen exactly as it had in the earlier cartoon. Perhaps the future has been changed by, Cruella's revenge on Emma Thompson's character. But we'll just have to see. But again, it is well open for a sequel. I certainly hope there's some sequels. I want to see more of this Cruella world from Emma Stone. All right, thank you so much. This is Trinidad the Island Man, your Island Man, strongly giving Cruella a Shaka Thumbs Up. Go see it multiple times. You won't be disappointed. All right, mahalo and aloha.